13 leçons pour trimestre. Et nous remercions le Seigneur. Nous disons merci au Seigneur pour ces anciens qualifiés que l'il mettait à Sarepta. Je veux vous rappeler qu'aujourd'hui, c'est le sabbat d'anniversaire, sabbat discipula. Mais aussi, je veux vous rappeler qu'ici à Sarepta, nous avons ajouté quelque chose, c'est sabbat d'appréciation. Nous aimons apprécier ça que vous faites. D'ailleurs, ici, nous avons un radar qui ne fonctionne pas très très bien. Pourquoi? Parce que il capture seulement les choses positives qui se passent ici à Sarepta. Nous allons demander à moun qui a fêté anniversaire de naissance aujourd'hui. C'est peut-être de baptême, de mariage ou de baptême, mariage en naissance pour approcher devant pour nous. Et pendant ce temps, comme j'ai dit, le radar, l'aime consulter lui, il dit comme ça que il y a deux mondes que moi besoin honorer aujourd'hui. Qui vraiment à Sarepta, il y a gagné des travaux que ont fait qui vraiment attiré l'attention. Nous voulons parler de la sœur Célienne, oui, elle ne s'y attendait pas, et aussi la sœur Yolène, ok. Comme j'ai dit, si nous fêtons un anniversaire quelconque, ne soyez pas timides, avancez là pour nous, nous capables de venir pour nous prier avec nous, un anniversaire quelconque, anniversaire de baptême, de mariage, de naissance, nous capables d'avancer pour que nous prions avec nous. Nous n'avons pas beaucoup de personnes. That is okay. Alors, un cadeau vraiment qui paraît inoubliable, ok, pour les fêtants. C'est quelque chose que j'ai préparé spécialement pour vous, pour fêtants. Mais nous avons seulement 3 fêtants. Nous avons fêté un anniversaire quelconque. Nous avons des cadeaux, je peux dire, spéciaux pour ces fêtants-là. Et nous t'avons demandé si le mari de sœur Célienne, s'il est présent, qu'elle est capable de venir là camper avec vous, parce que, comme j'ai dit, nous voulons vraiment apprécier l'effort des gens ici à Sarepta. Il a fait un accident, mes frères et sœurs. Il fait un accident. Mais si nous sommes dehors, bien propre comme ça, même si elle a fait un accident dans la semaine, il vient nettoyer toute la cour pour nous. Je ne sais pas si le mari est présent. S'il n'est pas présent, la femme... je peux dire recevoir le cadeau que j'ai destiné à ce couple. Et ensuite, la sœur Yolène, nous allons... Bien sûr, elle ne s'y attendait pas. La sœur Yolène, bien, voilà, avance-toi. Voilà, cette sœur-là, je dois témoigner quelque chose à son sujet. Si nous allons dans la toilette, nous voyons que la toilette est propre. C'est lui-même qui, en pile fois, là nous finit, il nettoyer pour nous. Comment ne pas remercier, comment ne pas honorer ces personnes-là? Alors, pendant ce temps, pendant que nous parlons ramasser offrande 13e sabbat, je sais que la musique appropriée, c'est musique pour 13e sabbat, mais nous allons écouter, je vais vous faire écouter une chanson, mes frères et sœurs, une chanson appropriée pour circonstances l'entour. Il dit que l'Éternel est bon. L'Éternel est bon pour nous. Nous sortions côté qui est loin, nous sortions loin, mais l'Éternel est bon. J'aimerais demander de faire un peu de silence et pour nous un peu dans un esprit de méditation pour bien sûr écouter cette chanson que technologie peut faire nous détendre, qui est titre l'Éternel est bon.
Et mon âme te loue, et mon âme t'adore.
On peut ramasser les offrandes.
Et mon âme te loue, car nul n'est comme toi. C'est un chant nouveau, yes, qui monte dans mon cœur. mon seul sauveur. Il m'a pris de loin, il m'a lavé et m'a racheté, alléluia, et placé à ses côtés. Non, je n'ai plus peur de rien, je ne crains plus rien, car le bon berger, alléluia, est de mon côté. Même les ténèbres n'ont plus aucun pouvoir sur moi, car la clé de la mort, oh, c'est mon maître qui la tient.
Pstars Radio, Pstars Radio, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is yours truly, the one and only, Brother Ricky, and I'm happy to be with you all here this morning. A little bit later than usual, my starting time, but I'm here anyways, so please forgive me. But yeah, how are you guys doing so far? How are all of you doing so far? Are you all having a wonderful week so far? We're just starting off the weekend. Probably started it off Friday, but again, I just want to ask how your day's been, or how's your day been? How's family life, work life? I'm not going to say school life because granted, we are in the summer right now, so for a lot of people, it might be the time where we're off from school and we're, enjoying our summer vacation. So, again, how are you guys doing so far? You guys doing good? You guys doing great? Again, I'm glad that you all can be here with me on Pstars, and I'm happy that I can be here with you as well. Are you taking care of your mental, physical, and your spiritual health? Again, I like to bring up the fact that these things are important, right? They're very much so important, and I would highly encourage you to treat it as such, because no one will take care of these things but you, right? So, as always, I'd like to offer the solutions to taking care of your mental, physical, and spiritual health. And so the number one solution will always be to pray. Go to God in prayer. Ask Him for assistance. Ask Him for help, so that you can manage your mental, physical, and your spiritual health as much as possible, all right? So number one, always go to God in prayer. Two, for some people, the way to manage these things could be to work out, right? You can work out. Some people like to read. Some people like to clean. Some people like to, cook as a form of helping out with their mental, physical, and spiritual health. Some people, it could be yoga, right? And then others, it could be to just speak to somebody, right? To speak to someone who you can ultimately trust to talk about your situation with, right? But again, I want to emphasize, the person that you can trust to speak about your situation with. Not just anybody, but someone that you can trust, all right? So these are your solutions, or the solutions that I have that I can offer you to manage these things. So please, again, do the best that you can to manage your mental, physical, and your spiritual health as much as possible, all right? So I'll leave that right there, and then moving on to the presentations. And so I would like to personally have the, how can I say this? I want to have the honor, right, to announce that your champions for the 2025 NBA title champions going to the OKC Thunder. Now, I called it. I definitely called it. For those of you who know, even before the start of the playoffs, I called the OKC Thunders winning this year's NBA Finals. Now, okay, let me take that back a bit. Before the finals started, because during the playoffs, I rooted for my team, and for those of you who don't know, I am a Golden State Warriors fan, and so at first I rooted for the Warriors taking this year's NBA Finals. Now, ultimately, that was not the case because sadly we lost, only because Curry was injured, right? Only because Curry was injured. But to put that aside, I did call the OKC Thunders winning this year's NBA Finals. Now, granted, the Indiana Pacers gave this team a run for their money. They gave this group of guys the run for their money. Tyrese Halliburton did his thing. Now, I will say this: the very last match for the NBA Finals, which is Game 7, was a bit of a bittersweet, ending, right? Considering, hold on, it was a bittersweet ending for the Indiana Pacers because, granted, Tyrese Halliburton, what happened to Tyrese Halliburton was something that no player would ever want to happen to them on the biggest game of their entire career, right? No player and no fan would ever want something like this to ever occur on a night like Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And so what happened to Tyrese Halliburton was, unfortunately, he suffered a right leg Achilles injury. Yeah, he suffered an injury on the first quarter of Game 7 of that matchup. And listen, if I were him, it would be a hard. Granted, I'm not saying it wasn't for him, but it would definitely be a heartbreaking moment, considering I can no longer play because of this injury to help my team win the NBA Finals championship, right? I could only imagine, right? I could only imagine the emotions that Tyrese Halliburton was going through that very moment when he suffered that injury on Game 7 of the NBA Finals. It's very, very, very heartbreaking, extremely heartbreaking, right? But unfortunately, that is what has transpired and that is what has happened, which ultimately led to the Indiana Pacers losing Game 7, ultimately losing the NBA Finals match up against the OKC Thunders. So again, it's very heartbreaking to hear about it. Honestly, I would have wanted it a different way because, man, you don't want to be in that situation. Put yourself in his shoes. Biggest match of your life, of your career, and having to fall to an injury like that, it's definitely heartbreaking. But congratulations, though, to OKC Thunders. Congratulations. They are your youngest, if I'm not mistaken, the youngest core group of team to ever make it and actually after the Indiana Pacers during their time, I believe in the 1990s. But nonetheless, right? They're the youngest core group team to make it to the NBA Finals and to ultimately win this year's NBA Final. And of course, you already know who your NBA Finals MVP goes to, right? I mean, you all can guess who in the OKC Thunder won the NBA Finals MVP. And if you guessed it correct, yes, it went to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, receiving this year's NBA Finals MVP. So this man received the NBA MVP award, and he received this year's NBA Finals MVP award as well. Listen, that's nothing of a surprise to me or to anyone. This man is definitely talented. Now, a lot of people say that the reason for him receiving the MVP or the NBA Finals championship MVP is because of his expertise in flopping. I don't call it flopping. I call it athleticism, should I say, right? I call it athleticism, but hey, you all might have different opinions, but nonetheless, he is the winner of this year's NBA Finals MVP, and he is the winner of this year's NBA MVP as well. And so again, that's nothing of a surprise to me. This man has balled out the entire season, hooping straight, dropping 30-plus point games per night. Yeah, man, he definitely deserves it. He definitely deserves the NBA Finals MVP trophy. So, again, congratulations to the OKC Thunders and the entire organization. And now for next season, right? For next season, I definitely expect to see the Indiana Pacers, run it back. I definitely expect to see the Indiana Pacers run it all the way back to make it to the NBA Finals and get their trophy as well. Because the minute that I started seeing a spark, at least for me, the minute I started seeing a spark for the Indiana Pacers was when they had their first appearance up against the Lakers in the in-season tournament, right? The in-season tournament, and I think it was the NBA's first in-season tournament, right? When they went up against the Lakers, but lost to the Lakers during the in-season tournament. And then this year they made it to the NBA Finals, right? Man, I think they definitely have what it takes to make it all the way back to the finals all over again for next season. I truly hope if they're going to make any changes to the Indiana Pacers, I truly hope it's not them trading some of the greatest players that they have on that team, but instead adding to the roster. But I guess that would have to do with them trading. Yeah, that would definitely have to do with them trading. But just not the core players of the group. So I would say Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, of course. Who else? I don't think they should trade Obi Toppin, right? I don't think they should trade Obi Toppin or Nembhard. Guys like those, I don't think they should trade. I think they should continue to build around those guys. But other than that, the chemistry within that team, in my opinion, is what led them to the NBA Finals, especially with Tyrese Halliburton at the forefront, because his chemistry or his contribution to bringing chemistry to that team, again, in my opinion, is what ultimately led the Indiana Pacers to the NBA Finals. But hey, that's just me. You guys might think differently. But I'm expecting to see these guys run it all the way back next season, making it to the NBA Finals and winning the NBA Finals as well. All right, but that's what I'm thinking so far for that. So again, congrats to OKC Thunders and their win for the NBA Finals. Now, I wanted to go into the NBA draft, right? I wanted to go a little bit into the NBA draft. Just give you the list. I'm going to go deeper into my thoughts and opinions on, the outcomes or the results of the NBA draft. But I'm just going to give you the first. I'm only going to give you the 10 names, the top 10 picks of the NBA draft that recently took place last Wednesday for the NBA. And then again, our next meetup on next Saturday, I'll go a little bit deeper into at least my personal grades on each draft pick for the NBA draft. All right. So for your number one pick for the Dallas Mavericks, they have required Cooper Flagg coming out of Duke University. And then for the number two pick, which went to the Spurs, they draft Dylan Harper, who comes out of Rutgers. And then for the third pick, for the 76ers, they draft VJ Edgecombe. And number 4, the Hornets draft Con Knueppel. Then for number 5, the Jazz draft Ace Bailey. Number 6, the Wizards draft Trey Johnson. Number 7, the Pelicans draft Jeremiah Fears. And then number 8, the Nets draft Igor Demin. Number 9, the Raptors draft Colin Murray Boyles. Murray Boyles. And then finally, number 10, Rockets draft Kaman Malak, who comes out of Duke University. Duke University. But it seems on that trade, the Rockets give the trading rights to the Suns. So I believe Kaman Malak has been traded from the Rockets to the Suns. All right, so that's their top 10 draft picks for the NBA. Again, next Saturday, I will give my personal grades for each of the top 10 draft picks. But I'll just say this, for one, I'm excited to see what Cooper Flag is going to do for the Dallas Mavericks, because, again, for those of you who have been living under a rock, with the trade that happened between the Dallas Mavericks and the Lakers, with them trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers, I'm excited to see what this addition to the Mavs team will do for them, because now, as it is standing, they have Kyrie Irving, they have Klay Thompson, they have Anthony Davis, and now they have Cooper Flag, and of course the rest of the squad in that team that they can work with to pivot from, in my opinion, the worst trade that could ever be made. The worst trade that could ever be made between the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe not the worst trade for the Lakers, because, again, they have additional help with Luka Doncic, but definitely the worst trade, in my opinion, for the Dallas Mavericks. So I'm excited to see what Cooper Flag can do for this team for this upcoming season. But first, the Summer League. We're going to get a chance to see all these draft picks in the NBA draft perform for the NBA Summer League, and I believe it will take place September maybe, or maybe late August. I might be wrong here. But they're going to get their chance to perform for the Summer Leagues to see who can secure their spot in the main rosters for the regular season of the NBA, all right? So stay tuned for that. And now I will give you your matchups for the WNBA. It's only going to be one matchup, I think it looks like. One matchup for the WNBA this afternoon or tonight. And the matchup for tonight will be between the Washington Mystics, who will be taking on the Dallas Wings tonight at 8 p.m. Again, the Washington Mystics will be taking on the Dallas Wings tonight at 8 p.m. All right? So that is your matchup for the WNBA. I will give you your verse of the day. Okay, so the verse of the day will be coming from Proverbs chapter 10, verses 6. Again, the verse will be coming from Proverbs chapter 10, verses 6. Verset absorti dans Proverbs chapitre 10, verset 6. Proverbs chapitre 10, verset 6. Okay. And it reads, "Blessings crown the head of the righteous, but violence overwhelms the mouth of the wicked." Allow me to read that verse for you one more time. And the verse reads, "Blessings crown the head of the righteous, but violence overwhelms the mouth of the wicked." So, I would like to say for this verse, to keep it simple, practice righteousness, shun wickedness. Practice righteousness and shun wickedness, right? Because when you perform wicked behavior or you continue to find comfort in wickedness, you will only be met with misfortune, for better words, right? You'll be met with misfortune, you'll be met with chaos, you'll be met with violence, and all of these things will be the cause of your own doing, because these are, choices. We as people have choices, right? We have the freedom to make choices in our lives. And so if we choose to live in wickedness, if we choose to live in sin, then in the same breath, we're also choosing to reap the consequences of our willingness to be wicked, right? We choose to reap the consequences of us living in sin, comfortably in sin. And so I want to encourage you to live a life of righteousness. Granted, with that being said, none of us are perfect, right? I'm not perfect. And so we have to live with an eagerness to want to better ourselves each and every single day. We want to live with the eagerness of living in accordance to God's will and how God wants us to live. Because in doing so, as it is said in the Bible, as it is said in this verse, blessings are what's going to, overwhelm us. And I don't know about you, but I would like to be overwhelmed with blessings that come directly from God, right? Blessings that come only from God. And so I want to be continuously blessed in my daily life, in my day-to-day life. But to do so, I have to be willing to live righteous. For you to be blessed and overwhelmed with blessings, you have to be willing to live in righteousness. Otherwise, if you choose to live the opposite of that, which is in wickedness, then you will be met with, the consequences of your wickedness. In the verse, violence, you'll be met with that. And all of these things are going to be evident based off of your decision to live in wickedness. So I encourage you, each and every single one of you that are watching, choose to live in righteousness and shun wickedness. Again, choose to live in righteousness and reject wickedness in your life, okay? Vive Jean bon Dieu vle pour vivre. Pas continuer vivre dans péché parce que si vous continuez vivre comme ça, ou seulement joindre conséquence dans tout ça va faire parce que vous avez choisi pour vivre dans péché. So, encourage tout le monde pour vivre Jean bon Dieu vle pour vivre, parce que depuis vous vivre comme ça, bon Dieu a toujours béni, et puis il a continué béni dans la vie, dans tout ça va faire, et puis il a béni famille parce que vous avez pris une décision pour vivre sans péché dans la vie. Mais bon Dieu comme ça, nous pas perfect, nous tout pas parfait dans tout ça dans tout ça n'a fait. Nous pas perfect tout. Nous gagne un peu de défaut, nous connaît un peu de monde qui gagne défaut partout, mais depuis vous prend décision pour quitter péché, pour avancer dans façon bon Dieu besoin pour avancer dans la vie, depuis vous marcher droite avec bon Dieu, kounya ou a commencé ouais comme ça, ou a quitter tout ça que qu'on fait comme péché, et puis ou a vivre dans nan façon bon Dieu vle pour vivre parce que la vie c'est pas pour lié, c'est pour bon Dieu lié. OK? So tu as supposé vivre nan Jean bon Dieu vle pour vivre la vie et puis ou besoin yon exemple pour tout le monde qui regarde qui pas connaît bon Dieu, qui besoin connaître qui est bon Dieu pour yo même tout yo ka quitter péché yo pour yo ka marcher dans la vie avec bon Dieu. OK? So changer ça depuis marcher dans façon ou bien dans Jean bon Dieu vle la béni et puis il pas béni seulement la béni famille too. OK? Again, the Bible verse comes from Proverbs chapter 10 verse 6. Verset sorti dans Proverbs chapitre 10 verset 6. Again, walk in righteousness, choose to walk in righteousness, and you will be overflowed with blessings. Okay? But if you choose to live in sin or wickedness, and if you continue to live in the comfort of wickedness and sin, then you will only be met with the consequences of your own life decisions, right? You'll be left with the consequences of your poor life decisions and you choosing to live in wickedness and in sin, all right? So again, I encourage you to live in the way that God has called you to live and to live in righteousness, okay? That's all for the show. I will meet you all here. For those of you who don't know, I also tune in on Tuesdays as well to speak about random topics, random subjects. And so if you are all rocking with me and you're all, interested in my takes, my topics, what I have to say, come back again. I'll be happy to be with you guys again on Tuesday around 12:30. Just to speak about random topics in general. And then again, I'll be back here on Saturday to continue to give you my take on the NBA, the NFL, soccer, or just sports in general. All right, so I love you guys, and I will see you guys then, all right? Adios. Peace.